Dan Bull is the founder of an organization called ZeroSixEight, which is focused on creating second chances for people through entrepreneurship. I don't want to step on any more of his story because it is a powerful one, a really powerful note to leave us before we head off to lunch. So I'm just going to let him walk on a stage. Here's Dan Bull.
Good afternoon. Is it on? Okay, all right. Well, good afternoon. Thank you, Aaron, for inviting ZeroSixEight, myself, and some others to come out here and share our story. So, 068, what does that mean? Who here knows what 412 means? Or 724? Area codes. Well, 068 is sort of like an area code. It's just one that really you shouldn't know. At least we hope you don't know. See, 068 is the area code you're given when you serve time in federal prison. And my number was 330-61068, Pittsburgh. So anyone else from a federal prison anywhere in the country is also going to share those last 3 digits. Now, I didn't know this when I went to serve my time for mail fraud. I didn't know anybody who had ever served time in a local county, let alone a federal penitentiary. I went in blind. I tried to prepare myself by watching every episode of Prison Break. That's a true story. I was clueless. That was a terrible show, really. It's like, I can't go in with this attitude, and I hate tattoos, afraid of needles. But the thing of the matter is, I went in with some really strong preconceived notions. This was going to be a fight for my life. And really what it more was a fight for my soul. A fight for my reputation. Experienced very little situations of violence. Experienced a whole lot more of compassion and friendship. Things I did not expect. And as I was going through this process of realizing my worldview had been completely wrong all along by people who were serving time in prison and who were being released from prison, thinking that they were violent, they were scary, they were worthless, I was finding that exists in some areas where you're absolutely glad, and I am one of them. There are prisons. But more so than not, it's people who have made serious mistakes. They're broken. They have a strong desire to be a solution, to be valuable in people's hearts, minds, and daily lives. Now, desire is good, but what about talent? So I came from the venture capital community. And so when I went into federal prison, I sort of looked at everything from a startup mentality. I looked for ideas, I looked for skills and abilities, and I couldn't help but want to match those things. So while I was inside, I met people who had everything you would want. If they hadn't had that background, if they hadn't made these mistakes. And in the venture capital community, a felony is a fatal mistake. It is forever the door closed. But yet I was finding talent that people want. Ideas that people need, solutions. What do I do? How do I reconcile with this? So for my creative spirit inside, I just kept writing. I kept writing answers to questions. Questions I would ask, such as, how can you trust us again? Pages and pages, night after night, I started working on this over and over, all these ways in which you might convince someone that you've changed and that your heart is different and that was just this path that you took that was wrong and you made that decision in the moment of emotion. I remember going through it, and then after weeks of working on just that one question, how can you trust us again? I found the answer. You can't. Just as you cannot automatically trust anybody you meet once you meet them, trust is something earned and proven over action and time. Now, we give it so easily to a stranger. You meet them, you hear about their reputation. I was a very trustworthy person until the day I went to prison. People automatically give me trust now because of how I look and how I talk. And then they find out I have a past. But in the reality, the only The only trust you can really have is trust that's earned through work. And so that's the answer. And that's what 068 is about. 068 is an incubator that gives people who have demonstrated that they not only are different from this mistake, or that it hasn't damaged them necessarily forever, which is something our system unfortunately does, but they've demonstrated that they are on a path to being of value, that they are above reproach. And so when we find someone with an idea that's investable and talent that can see it through, we think maybe this desire to be better than the worst thing you've ever done makes you a better entrepreneur, makes you a safer investment, and so we're going to get behind you. So, yeah, who was that? All right, so here's where we are today. 068 started September 2013, over 4 years ago. And we have successfully started 13 companies. That number's gone up and down. We've tried starting a lot more. We've had failures, it happens. But in those 13 companies, we have accepted 0 investment dollars outside of the group. No one's given us money. We don't have a venture capital group behind us. We don't have an organization that supports us. It's been purely, we have an idea. We're going to create this product through Bootstrap, and we're going to sell it, and we're going to earn a profit. And we're going to triage these profits into a section and then push them into another opportunity, another entrepreneur. We're going to get behind other entrepreneurs. So it started with $10,000. And our 2017 books had $7.2 million of revenue. When you start companies, you get to create jobs. Over 70% of the jobs we've created are from formerly incarcerated individuals as well. It's pretty neat how this has been something which is not just for entrepreneurs, it's for people who just want a career. 178 jobs at the end of 2017. Sustained, real jobs, not temporary, not part-time, with a minimum wage of $32,000 a year is the lowest paid individual of those 178. So we have principles. We believe in a real chance. Now, it is my pleasure, not sure how I'm doing on time, it is my pleasure to introduce just one of these incredible entrepreneurs and his incredible companies to the stage. Now, before he comes out, I'll give you a little background. This is his first public appearance, maybe even first public speech, since his incarceration. This is his first time sharing his story, his journey, after it was told by many others who never spoke to him, such as Rolling Stone magazine, CNN, every news outlet you can imagine. There's an American Greed episode about him, and the list goes on. We don't sensationalize crime at 068. The society loves to sensationalize crime. We're not proud of really terrible decisions that hurt people. We take it really seriously. But sometimes sharing what happened before gives context to the talent that could have been used for something else if their life journey had been just a little bit different, if opportunities had been granted prior to making a bad decision. So I won't take any more away, but I ask you to give the warmest welcome of the day to Damon Toey.
Thank you, Dan.
Take a breath. Thank you very much. Everyone, that was perfect. We'll do better. We'll do better as you get food in your bellies. I know you're hungry. Damon, welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming out here and sharing. So what we want to do here is just give a little bit of context. We certainly want to distance ourselves from the past. We don't want to sensationalize what's happened before. But again, back to, there needs to be some context. So
Sure.
Right before every agency that has a gun raided your organization, how many identities were you controlling in the United States?
I can't even really give you an accurate number. Hundreds of millions. I think we estimated at one point it was over 75% of all of the total credit cards in the country.
So if you haven't heard of this, or you're going to read, Damon was part of a group of 3 people. One involved a Secret Service agent, one involved a Wall Street computer programmer, And then the other involved Damon, in which they didn't even know you existed.
No.
And what they did was they stole credit cards. But that's the crime. Let's talk a little bit about the technique and some of the amazing things that really could have been valuable to an organization if they knew how to do it. Now, what year are we talking about here, roughly?
Of the crimes, or?
When you had, first of all, when you had hundreds of millions of credit cards and names, where do you put that? Do you print it?
That's a good question, no. Basically, we had data centers that were around the world, everywhere from Latvia, Singapore, Russia, anywhere. We kind of had them spread out, encrypted on different servers.
So this is before Dropbox or any cloud computing even was a thing?
Yeah, it was before cloud became a buzzword.
So one of the technical issues you had when you were in possession of so much information, personal information, was where to store it and store it securely.
Sure.
And transfer it.
Sure.
Okay, so this is a pretty big deal. To give you context of what a miracle it is that Damon's here with us today, what was the recommended time that the U.S. Attorney's Office was trying to convict you of?
In the federal system, they go by a point scale. Life begins somewhere around 70 or 80 points, I believe. I had 152 points.
Two life sentences.
2 life sentences, first-time offender.
Right. So the United States of America's prosecuting office recommended to the judge that he serve 2 life sentences. And you were pretty lucky.
Extremely.
One, when they caught you, they also caught all the information. And so what occurred what made it so that you're not still and forever gone?
Well, I made the smart decision right away to go ahead and cooperate with them. I knew the severity of the crimes that we had been committing at that point for years and years. I knew that my other co-defendant, Albert Gonzalez, he worked with the Secret Service and was using information from the Secret Service to further his illegal proceeds, basically.
A double agent.
A double agent, I guess you would call it. So it was serious, and I knew right away that, I needed to do something to rectify that.
And so at something of this scale, when they were raided, they didn't understand the severity of how many U.S. banks and supermarkets had been actually feeding all transactions and information. Basically 75% of the people in this room, if you had a credit card at the time, was feeding into this beast. And the FBI needed help, along with other agencies, to figure out what happened. Now, what's good news for all of you, and you please concur, Damon, is that every single exploit you had used in order to take people's information and steal money, those are all filled, and these institutions have done a great job patching them, correct?
No, that's not correct at all.
What?
I think anybody who
They
watches
care
the
about our
news,
privacy.
anyone who watches the news at any point can see that every week it's somebody new. It's Target a lot of times for some reason. Forever 21, I think, just appeared again. So no, the same vulnerabilities that existed 15, maybe even 20 years ago are still present today, and nothing has really changed.
Wow. But surely there's measures in place that it's not just exactly the same, Damon.
The security industry has matured quite a bit in the past 10 years. It's obviously a lot bigger now as well. You hear a lot more about it. People are more security conscious, but like I said, the same vulnerabilities exist. There's always human error that continues to exist and will.
So I heard this before. I knew these answers. This is where I saw, hold up, you're telling me you know where these are. You know exactly how they can be corrupted and what organizations could do at least to apply a brake to the leakage of data, or maybe even a stopgap to the leakage of data. And you can't go out there and help? So I saw the opportunity. Did everyone here kind of feel like, hey, this is an opportunity? So no, the idea was not, wow, we're going to start a syndication. We're going to own it. We are going to get out there right back. There's no desire. We don't want to ruin our lives or our families again. We've worked hard for this moment here with you, but there's opportunity. And so Damon is the founder of Codex Security, where he literally gets paid to hack.
Yeah.
Yeah. And basically find people on their hardware vulnerabilities as well as their software, and give them a pathway to things that can fix, that can be fixed. That's pretty cool, right? Yeah.
Thank you. So
We can really go into it. This is one of the most. He's like truly the most interesting man in the world. But this is a taste. This is a taste of what second chance entrepreneurship can look like, but also read about him, and he is a terrifying.
Please don't.
A terrifying criminal. And it's all sensationalized, but the reality is that's not the case. It doesn't have to be the case. You need to be like any other relationship, whether you know they've been in prison or not. You need to be cautious and careful at how you extend trust and how you open yourself and your families as well as your business to someone. We create intimacy and trust by sharing the worst things about us right off the bat, like I did with you today. I have the privilege to do that every day. I have the privilege to shed my guilt and shame daily. And what's shocking, and thanks to people like you here, somehow it is creating opportunities for hundreds, and it is creating trust when I thought trust was impossible. So I hope this inspired you. We'd love to talk to you after. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello? That was great. Did you get a chance to talk about how this model is being spread to other cities around the country?
I was worried about the time.
We've got time. The cool thing, one of the main reasons that I wanted to feature Dan is that a lot of talk is going on these days about Pittsburgh as an innovation hub. Pittsburgh is, when's the VC money coming in and all this other stuff. And like he said, it's a bootstrapped organization. However, they are working to scale this model beyond the city of Pittsburgh, and it's going to be a place that had its genesis of it, but this is going to spread and impact even more lives. So can you talk a little bit about that?
I'll brag all the time, so you just let me know. Thank you. So it's not just local. It used to be here. It used to be Pittsburgh only. People traveled from other cities when they heard about us, when they saw our statistics. They wanted to know, first of all, this is a pretty successful incubator. How are you doing it? They're kind of disappointed. It's really not romantic. Expenses or revenue minus expenses equals profit is our formula. It's we try just to be on a budget. But we've had some incredible people who've really come with some power behind their intent to learn. So we have opened an office in Northern Virginia and DC called 083. And we've also opened one in Atlanta called 020. And these are majority locally owned, which is really important for us. We don't want to run a bunch of other incubators. We want buy-in, just like Pittsburgh is bought into 068. We want local buy-in to 020 in Atlanta. And they have a founding partner, basically someone like me who's just a constant cheerleader for the portfolio companies. These have created syndication opportunities, legal syndication. Got to be careful. But syndication opportunities for companies here. So companies in Pittsburgh are now growing into new markets thanks to basically these platforms in other cities that are being created. So they're moving into a structure they already understand, that's already profitable, and we're really excited. And I will preface this. All of this sounds super romantic and cool, at least to me it does. Don't assume that means we think, oh, we're so successful. Oh, this is a hard grind. We are a cash business. We have a $150,000 line of credit and $7.2 million in revenues, so we're floating almost $1.5 million of cash in accounts receivable on a quarterly basis. It's really hard, but we're not going to give up, and that's not a complaint. That's a great problem to have, because 4 years ago, I walked out of prison, and I didn't know how you were going to trust me. So thank you.
Good job.
So that was the morning session. One of the big selling points that I made when trying to get all these people into this room was that it is not just about the people who've graced the stage here today. It is about, if you look around, Larry made you guys thumb wrestle, Nick and Michelle made you guys interact as well, but the type of people that would give their Saturday morning, their Saturday afternoon to an event like this is a very specific type of person. It's some type of person that I really admire, that I'm really grateful for. And my sincere hope, I know a lot of you in the audience, I want to meet those of you that I don't know, but my sincere hope is that you will all take the opportunity to connect as well, whether it's in the lobby, whether it's in the line at Chula, or at some point later today. So as we wrap up here and I send you guys off to grab your cards for Chula and get lunch, please, please, please make an effort to introduce yourself to someone new, talk about something you've learned. There's plenty of interaction going on, hashtag Going Deep Summit, Instagram, Twitter, all that good stuff. Additionally, there is a hashtag Chula Yum that if you decide that lunch was pretty delicious, you should use and give them a shout out because we're really appreciative to them for feeding all you guys. And thank you so much for coming out this morning.